Do you know how crazy it is to live your entire life believing that you're not allowed to be you, right? So I remember it was 2 years ago or maybe 3 years ago now when the pandemic first hit, and I was spending a lot of time, of course, at home, and then it just so happened that there was so much pressure in my life from my family, from my ex, from like the crazy pandemic itself, and it was like this. I was like being like under so much pressure, where it just felt like all of a sudden I wasn't allowed. I wasn't allowed to be free. I wasn't allowed to choose what to do. I wasn't allowed to express. I wasn't allowed to, it just felt so constraining. And I remember taking the car at some point when the kids finally went to school, because we had a lockdown, and I was like frazzled. It was just so much pressure, like the whole world, all the shadow selves just all showed up. And I felt that I was not allowed everything. And I remember taking the car, blasting my music, which I love to do, driving on the highway, and screaming out loud to myself, why am I not allowed? I'm allowed to exist. I'm allowed to matter. I'm allowed to have a voice. This isn't fair. And I remember just really being so mad at the world, at God, at everything. And this rage that showed up that I thought was healed just erupted within me. And as I drove and screamed and yelled at the top of my voice to myself, screaming, why am I not allowed? And after like a good 20 minutes of like blasting that music, crying, screaming in the car, a calm took over. And the greatest realization was, who said I wasn't allowed? Like, that was the big, what does that even mean? And then I started to scream again and say, I'm allowed to feel. I'm allowed to exist. I'm allowed to have a voice. I'm allowed. And it shifted from why am I not allowed to, wait a minute, I can give myself that permission. I don't need my parents to tell me I'm allowed. I don't need my siblings. I don't need my friends. I don't need anyone basically to tell me whether I'm allowed or not to do something. And that was the first time it sort of dawned on me how much I have not been allowing myself to become anything I want to, say yes, say no, have an opinion, not constantly like people please and, feeling everybody's feelings, making sure not to hurt anybody's feelings, putting everyone as a priority on top of me, making sure that everyone feels good, and instead I realized that I was putting that pressure on myself. It was me doing it to me because I was no more 2 or 10 or 12 or 18. I wasn't any of those ages anymore. I was 40-some. And so no one had a right. But these were beliefs embedded within me. They were so locked in that I couldn't see them until the pressure was so intense. My system couldn't handle it anymore. And I could hear myself scream out and use my voice for the first time to really express myself to me, where I found that I'm allowed. Now, as I worked through this and I still was really scared, like, am I really allowed? And I would like have an opinion with like a family member, and they would like not allow that opinion. And it would hurt my feelings so much. And I'd go back into, maybe I'm not allowed. Look how much pain I'm causing others just by existing or being significant or having a say. And it was such a crazy kind of dynamics to go through, because the pattern, that identity that I believed in was so real that when I would practice, I would step a little bit into the unknown, like let me touch base with, what if I am allowed to have an opinion? What if I am allowed to have my own feelings? What if I am allowed to say no? And when I would get attacked back, I would shrivel back and be like, wait, it doesn't seem that I'm allowed because it's causing pain for others and I'm being rejected and called crazy and being put down. Like, what is going on? And so in that unraveling of self, I came across Kyle Cease, who was just a delight because he works with the shadow the same way I do, and embracing the shadow. And yet all of a sudden he was using this incredible language, and his language was basically everything that shows up, I am allowed. And when I heard that, I was like, oh, thank you, universe, for showing Kyle Cease to me, because this is what I needed. I needed that kind of insight. So I started to use it for everything. I'm allowed to be angry. I'm allowed to say no. I'm allowed to say yes. And in that practice, it added to me, and it, of course, added to my clientele. But through me healing that and allowing self, although I've always given that opportunity to all my clients, I never gave it to myself. I never gave it to myself in my personal life. And so that was a great unraveling, and that is why the I'm allowed is such a big thing for me. And I think it's a very big thing for a lot of people, because we have been not allowed a lot of ways. Since we were young, we're not allowed to have a tantrum when we were little. We were not allowed to express that, oh my God, I'm feeling unsafe in this environment because mom and dad are fighting all the time, right? Not allowed to feel unsafe, not allowed to have your feelings, not allowed to a lot of things. So I just really wanted to share this. And I know I've been leaving some videos about I'm not allowed, but I think it's really time to absorb and digest that because that's the only way to allow the shadow to be in the light, is allowing certain aspects. And whether those people accept it or not, it's not about others accepting it. In time now, I am allowed. And whether my family approves or my friends approve, or it doesn't even matter anymore, because whoever, they're only there to heighten my ability to be more allowed, to be more resilient and persistent with myself, to give myself the permission to be allowed, regardless of their opinions or their pushback to me stepping into who I am, regardless of that. And so you have the permission to be allowed. And if people fall out of your life, if people cannot accept that, if people cannot respect that, that's okay. It really is okay, because you only have like a few choices, and the option is silence yourself and badger yourself, or just accept yourself and allow yourself to be yourself, right? So just think about it for a bit and like feel into that, because I was really prompted to share this video from deeply within, and I think it's very helpful. You can also be allowed to be angry, and you're allowed to be stressed, and you're allowed to worry, right? And you're allowed to be happy. One of the biggest things is I'm such a happy person in general, and yet for some odd reason I wasn't allowed to be that happy. There was like a ceiling to my happiness. Like if I was happy and dancing and listening to music and upping the vibe because that's where I'm at, and there are angry, pain people around me, I would feel their energetic charge on me, like, we hate you right now. And I would have to dim it down, because even that I wasn't allowed. I was only allowed to mirror how other people are feeling and change my vibration according to others around me. But when I'm in my vibration, whatever that is at the time, I believed I wasn't allowed to stay in it. I had to cater to everyone around me. Right? So even my happiness, I would completely dim it down because I was so afraid of triggering someone's pain, right? Or jealousy or envy towards me, when it didn't really matter, because if that person has jealousy, envy, and pain, regardless of who I am or who you are, They will still experience that regardless of you. So you have to find a way to allow yourself to be you. Gather in your energy, gather in yourself, and be with you. No matter, you're like in an angry place and someone is in joy, fine. You can stay in that anger. Maybe look at that joy and maybe allow it to up-level your energy. Maybe it was a gift from Source to allow you to up-level your energy a little bit so that you're not trapped in that painful place. And maybe not. Maybe it is just to sit with the pain and love it. Who knows? All you know is that you are allowed whatever it is. Like whatever it is, you're allowed. I give you permission. All right. Please hit subscribe, press like, share, leave your comments, and I'll see you on the next episode. Bye.